What is up, YouTube? It's BigDubz. We're back on part 2 of custom model for Mudrunner. Um, right where I said we were leaving off, we were editing the UVs. And this little menu over here that you see right now, like I said, we got the scene viewer over here. We got our modifiers over here in our modifier list. Um, we've made our 2 boxes here that we're going to turn into crates here shortly. And right now we have a modifier of a UV unwrap going on. So I've modeled out my object, however means that is, if it's made up of millions of spheres, whatever. You got to get creative on how to make a model. But once you got your model made, you're going to need to put a texture on it to apply it in the game. Okay, this is that point. This is the editor where you map the surfaces of these blocks, basically. And right now, you can see each one of these surfaces. If I click on them, I could pull it off to the side over here. And these are all... and what I've done is I've applied the editor, and I've selected for polygons. You can select it by vertices. I don't ever use vertices. You can select it by edges. I don't ever use edges. I always just use polygons, honestly. Then you're going to also see a section up here that says Open Up UV Editor. This is the editor. So if I close this right now, I'm not doing anything. But if I open up the UV editor, this is the editor. Okay. The editor is kind of funky looking and crazy. These are some options, basically, kind of like up here that you use in regular 3ds. But the most one that you're going to use most of the time, I always have the best thing about using is these tools and mapping. Okay. Mapping is like, there's an automatic mapping that you can use right now. If I did flat mapping, basically it's doing everything that I'm showing you right now. It'll do it automatically. Okay. And if I do normal mapping, there's like a couple of different options. You can do front and back mapping, so that'll give me front and back of the box. I can do left to right mapping, which will give me left to the right of the box, and it'll split it in half. You can do box mapping, no top. You can do box diamond mapping. Okay, these are all automatic mapping modes. Okay, unfold mapping is same thing. So automatic mapping modes. Right now, all I'm doing is manually mapping. Okay, this is how you manually map something in the UV editor. And what I've done is I've went around to all the sides of the thing, and I've literally just clicked on all the sides of it, and I've grabbed them. Okay, and it seems to have stitched, I think, 2 of the sides together. Yeah. So, okay. So if I wanted to manual map this, I could sit here and I could go take this and I could go tools. And this is what I meant by tools. These are about the only couple of tools that I use. You can flip it. So like this will flip it horizontally. So like if you're looking at it right now, it'll flip it up above here on the Z-axis. It'll like turn it up that way. If you flip it vertically, it'll do the same thing vertically. If you mirror it horizontally, it'll mirror it on the other side. So like it'll flip the surface. I don't know what weld select is. Break I don't ever use. Detach vertex edges, I'm pretty sure I probably use these at some point. Select stitched. I don't use these tools because they're the same tools over here. But most of the time I use pack UVs out of this list. And what that does is that packs this specific UV. If I have all these UVs highlighted, it's going to pack all of them, by the way. You see, it packs it inside this square box. And this square box is your image. I know it doesn't look like anything right now. But it's because I don't have anything applied to this box. So you can't really see anything. But I can show you how to add a material here in just a minute. So, and we'll see what that image looks like. But we need to set up all the surfaces to look right first, honestly. And to do that, I usually try to map it where that all the faces are on that square down there. So for right now, I'm going to flat map that. And what that does is that's going to put all the box faces onto that little square right there for me automatically. And this may not be the best mapping for this box, because what you're going to find out is that it's going to be, my texture is going to appear all weird, honestly, on each one of these sides, because this side is got to be faced at a certain direction in a certain way. And I just messed everything up again. So, tools, flat mapping. You can rerun this again, and it'll literally redo it again, and it'll map it back out for you. Or you could do tools, back UVs, straighten everything up for you. Okay, cool. But basically, we got that one UV mapped. Collapse all. Same thing with this one. I'm gonna UV map it real quick. Go ahead and get a UV map going. Open editor. Go here. This time I'm going to hit Control A. Oh, not what I wanted to do. Selection. Open UV editor. Okay, there we go. Click on a surface, then click Control A, and it will highlight them all. And we will do flat mapping. Okay. Tools. Pack UVs. Okay. Alright. And we're going to collapse all of those. Okay. So, I got my boxes here, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to find us a box texture. So, I need a box or a crate. Let's look for box texture. That's fine. Box texture. Images. Oh, this is perfect. No. Ooh, I like this one even better. Okay, cool. So we'll do save image as. After I found this, and I'm going to rename this box. We're going to go Mudrunner, and we're going to go Models, your new model, okay? It's on your files, all right? And this is going to be my texture, all right? We're going to go ahead and throw this texture into here for now. No, actually, I'm telling you wrong. If you notice in some of mine, you only want to put the texture that you need in the game. I need this actual box image, so I'm not going to put it there. I would suggest making another folder under your mods folder as like a textures folder. So down here, just go new folder, go textures. Okay, and the reason why for that is I need this as a reference image basically right now for CAD or for 3DS, sorry. And I need to apply a material to this box, okay? And to do that, I typically just come in here and I hit M for material in 3DS, okay? And it kind of pulls up this little editor thing. these are all like your little material editors. So if I just take this and I drag it out here, it's the easiest way to apply it. It's going to turn this box gray, okay? That means that material is applied to that box. Same thing for this box. New material. Bam. Okay? So any material that I put in here is going to be applied to both of these boxes. Alright? So the next parameter you're going to come and look at is down here at Ambient. And diffuse maps and specular maps. These are like maps to images, basically. If you click on just diffuse and you throw on like black, it'll actually change the box black. Okay, you don't want to do that, really. Not right now, at least. It is okay to put them down to the gray like you normally do. They can have a default material. They don't really need the fancy texture in the end when you make this model, because the game applies that texture. The UV mapping helps you produce the texture file, and then you use Photoshop to edit the texture file. That's why you need Photoshop, if that makes any sense. But right now, for modeling purposes, for me to make sure that this image looks right, I need to apply this material so that I can apply the texture and kind of judge if my UV mapping was set right. Okay? And I placed that. Sorry, I should explain this real quick. If you ever like get into something and you're like lost at like where you're at, like you're in here, and you're like lost. This is go up to the parent folder. This is go up to the very top of this map. Okay, that'll help you out too. But we need to change this diffuse map instead of just a normal color to an extra picture. So you got to click on this M, and then you're going to want to hit Bitmap, and it's going to give you this material browser. Okay, I just wanted to add like something that was pre-built from 3ds. You would just come down here and pick one of these things, but I'm not doing that. I just want a bitmap image, and it gives me a file browser. Okay. Typically, I browse out to my mods folder and that textures folder where we have that boxed image that I just saved, and I go ahead and double click on that. Okay. And you're like, well, why didn't it show up? I thought we had already assigned this material, because I can't assign this material to anything else right now. And if I do, you don't see it, right? Well, that's because your viewport is not meant to show you that type of material, so you have to show shaded material in viewport. What you get is you get this box, right? And you can see that our mapping is somewhat okay, and we kind of get a cool looking box, but it's not really right. Okay? And this is what I mean by UV mapping. We're done with this material. So, what you can do is you can come back in here and you can edit this by going back, and you can do another UV unwrap. Okay? And we want to open the UV editor, and we need to fix his face. And we're like, why is his face all messed up? Well, if you notice, we got all these faces. If I take them off this image, we notice that this face, this single face, we put it back on here. If I apply this map image, you'll notice, oh wow, this box is like so much smaller on that face. Where is that face? There it is. So much smaller. And if I move this around, is that it? Or is that way? Face is this? Is that it? There she is. Okay. So if I move that face around, it moves that image around there. See? Right there. But to fix that, you would go take this and you'd go Tool and you go Pack UV. Bam. See? And what I get is I got a good box image right there. That's what I want. So what I got to do is I got to pack all these UVs on top of each other to make this box look right. Tools, pack UVs. Okay, you can pack them individually like that, but see my box starting to show up right. Okay. Fastest way to do this is to highlight all these and go Tools, Pack UVs. Okay. Oh, no. Now I can't do that because what you get is a mistake. You got to pack them one at a time to get them to be the same size as that. So, sorry. Continue on packing them like that. If you don't, you will get what you have on the go. Tools. Pack. Okay? So, if we do a collapse all, by the way, that will apply those changes to that box. So, then we're going to do unwrap UV. Make sure all polygons are selected. Okay. Open that editor. We're going to just drag these off. By the way, the main tool, these tools right here, are move, rotate, scale. So if I scale this, it makes it bigger, smaller. See that? Rotate it. Rotate it. If I go back to move, move, move. Mirror is to flip it. So if it was reversed for some reason. And freeform mode is something I never use really. So, but tools, back. Okay. Tools, back. Tools, pack. Tools, pack. And this is packing all the UVs into the right locations, basically, for me. So, alright. And then you got two sweet boxes here. Okay. So, next thing I want to do is you're going to want to rename these. Because when they show up in the editor, this is what the name will be. Okay. So I rename them to whatever. So let's just call them box small. So underscore, and you can only use lowercase letters and underscores and numbers. Okay. Can't use anything else like a dash. Can't use that. Anything else you can't use. So I'm going to do box small, and I'm going to rename this one box large. Box underscore large. Cool. Alright, we got our UV maps set. Now we need to export our textures, or export the UV mapping. So what I do is I go back into UV unwrap one more time, open the editor, And we use our tools, and this is important, guys, okay? This is how you render the image that the game is going to then interpret into the game, okay? And the settings are usually force two-sided, yes. Show overlap, no. Mode, solid. Turn off visible edges and turn off visible seams. Okay? And then what you do is you hit render UV template. And what you get is you get this big box. Okay? But here's another factor that I forgot. Sorry about that. This aspect ratio. This is the width of how close this model looks whenever I get up to it. I found out as well. So if you want a 4K image so you can like get really close to this model, I would put in 4K settings here. And to do that, I'm going to go 4K pixel size. Pixel size. Sorry. 4K pixel size. 4K is going to be, we got 496 here, let's see. No, I don't want to use 4K. Probably 2K is probably the best. I don't think anything past 2K is a little crazy. Yeah, here we go. 248 is what we're looking for. 248 by 248 is what I want to change this by. 2048 by 2048. Okay. And we'll hit render. What you get is you get this big old box. It don't look like much. Now, if this was smaller, you would see a lot more black edged around this. So if this is like a multi-tiered part, you'd see, you know, more black edge surfaces around this. But for this box, it's not very much. So, but you need to save this image. And typically, I want to save this image in my new mods. This is going to be your first texture folder or texture. And since this box setup that we're doing is the same texture, just one is bigger than the other box, I don't need to make but one texture to apply to both parts. Okay? If I was going to make a box and like another box with a different looking texture, I would do two different textures basically, and then you would apply them in Mudrunner Editor here in a little bit. And once you apply those in there, you would have the two different textures on the two different parts. But for now, we're going to do box underscore. No, actually, see, I have a bunch of different stuff too. It also matters as well as how many other mods and like models or you have of something else. So like you want to try to name it that somebody else hasn't already used, but it also is something that you know that it's pertaining to that model. So like this, I'm gonna do test or no train underscore box, and this is what really matters. You always want to do underscore underscore diffused. And you can either do just plain old diffuse dot whatever file, or you can do underscore diffuse alpha. I do diffused alpha usually. And then you can pick your format. I'll save it as, I don't know, whatever. You can usually use JPEG. The game does not like PNG. I use JPEG. You can use a TIFF file. TGA file is the most applicable file that it likes. It likes TGA over anything else. SnowRunner does too. So TGA is fine. That's what I'm going to set this as. So we're just going to hit save. I always use 16-bit. The game doesn't like 24-bit or 32-bit. Just use 16. I uncheck this. Okay. And basically, we have exported our texture. So, and it's a blank texture, obviously, as you see. But in 3DS, we see these nice, pretty boxes. Because this is what we applied, and this is what we use to judge our materials off of. So, but, let's see where we're at on time. 26 minutes. Alright, man. I'm going to pause right here. Next thing we're going to go over is... oh, and this is that collapse all that I was talking about. When I want to apply the change to something, you hit collapse all in 3DS. I don't know how this works in Blender. Sorry, guys. So, hopefully you're using 3DS to make these. So, anyway, I'm not going to use this material, but we're going to talk about that in the next video. We're going to talk about texturing over there on that side, and then we are going to export these files out into the right format for the game to read, and we're also going to talk about sizing compared to the size in the world of the game and compared to a model. Okay, so and I may give these files out in the YouTube video so that you can reference them as a size for in-game size. So that way that you can kind of have a reference, because that's how I kind of size things. So even though that you do the scaling in 3DS, it doesn't always work out right. So, and not to mention the line, the direction. So like this X is like, that's facing forward in the game. So when you're looking at it, that is forward of the game. But when you're working in 3DS, you're always looking at off to the side. It's always to like the left-hand side of you. But your alignment in the game is on the X-axis, you know, and then your vertical is Z, and your horizontal there is Y. So we're going to stop there, guys, and we're going to pick up here in a little bit where we just left off. So we got UV mapping out of the way, got our textures on. You know, we're going to work out the sizes, and we're going to finish this up. Good.